Come on, everybody. Let's go. Get ready for a summertime adventure from another Sommer-Time story. This is the story of The Great Royal Race, written and told by award-winning author Carl Sommer.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a lovely young princess named Elizabeth. She was kind and gracious, the delight of the kingdom. And now that she had come of age, it was time for her to choose her one true love. From across the land came 3 fine suitors: Simon, Thomas, and John. Simon was trained in the finest of schools and was charming to all the fair maidens. He knew what to say and just how to say it, and he knew how to get what he wanted. Simon wanted to be a wealthy prince. What does Simon want to do here? Isaiah?
He wants to be rich.
I want to be rich. I want to have lots of money. And that's his goal in life. He wants to see how much money he can make. Thomas was strong and handsome, a captain in the royal guard. When he rode into town, dressed in his shining armor, the young women adored him. But Thomas had lofty dreams. He planned to marry the princess, for she was in line to the throne. And the royal decree stated that whomever she married would be the next king. I'll ride a white horse and parade through the towns, he boasted. All the people will rush from their homes just to catch a glimpse of me. What does Thomas want to be here? Miguel?
He wants to be a king.
Thomas wants to be a king. He wants to marry the princess so he can ride the white horse that you see here, and everybody will look at me. And there's another word for that. What is that? Jocelyn?
Pride.
Pride, proud. Look at me. Look at me. Show off. And that's not a good thing to be, going around showing off and trying to make everybody look at me, me, me. See how great I am? But that's the type of person he is. And then there was John, a commoner and a dreamer. The day he and the princess first met, John was covered with mud. He was helping an old man get his wagon out of a ditch. "Who is that man?" asked the princess. Those nearby answered, "His name is John. He is a good man, always helping someone." Elizabeth walked over to John. "It's a fine thing you're doing, lending a helping hand." "Thank you," said John, wiping his face. He then looked up at the kind-hearted princess and suddenly fell deeply in love. When John told his friends, they laughed at him. "Forget it. You weren't born to be a prince." "Maybe she will become a commoner," he said. "It's utterly hopeless," his friends told him. But by the time the princess had gotten back to the castle, something strange had happened to her. She could not get John out of her mind. What kind of a man is John? Emma?
He's a kind man and he loves to help others.
Yes, he's a kind man and wants to help others. That's a noble characteristic of somebody. And I hope you become like that. That kindness, that you want to always help somebody. That's John. From early on, Elizabeth's mother had taught her, "You are a wealthy princess and many men will want to marry you. Be careful and choose your prince wisely." The queen would explain, "Seek a man of good character, one who will honor and respect you. Such a man will never ask you to do anything wrong. You must find the one who truly loves you. Then it will not matter to him whether you are rich or poor, sick or well, a princess or a peasant? What was the mother's advice to Elizabeth? Hi, Juliet?
To seek a man of good character.
Yes, seek a man of good character. Very important. What else did the mother tell her? All right, Emma?
To choose a kind man and a wise one and who thinks of others.
Yes, seek a wise man who also thinks of others, who is kind. What else did she say? Deshaun?
To pick a man that she'll be happy with for the rest of her life.
Yes, you're not just picking a man for the next week or the next year. You're picking a man till death do us part. That's your attitude should be. I am married 60 years to the same woman. All right? And I'm happily married because I was very careful. I remember I was very much concerned. I might have to live with this woman for 50 years. Now it's 60. And so I was very careful. And I'm very grateful I picked a good woman. And I want you to have the happy marriage too. There's so many sad marriages because they don't listen. And so Elizabeth is doing a wise thing. She's seeking advice. She's going to mother, Mom, what do you say? What should I do? And you too, go to your mom. Go to your dad. And she's doing this. And she's getting some excellent advice. And the mother's telling you, this is till death do you part. That's the way you ought to get married. We're going to make a lifetime commitment. I'm going to stay with her, and regardless what happens to my wife. And I told her that. Whether she's sick or suffering, I will be there. I'm not going to run away from her. And that's what makes a happy marriage. And so I encourage you to listen to the story. Now, this is for later on when you get older. It's not now, but those seeds I'm trying to put into your head now, so when you're older, you will have a happy marriage. So let's see what happens now in this story. Each of the suitors had always behaved with honor, at least around the princess. Still she wondered, if I choose a prince, how can I be certain he really loves me? Perhaps he wants only to be rich and famous. At last she decided, I'll ask Father. He'll know what to do. Down the hall and past the guards went the beautiful princess. Father, may I speak with you? With a snap of his finger, the king cleared the room. Elizabeth then told her father about Simon, Thomas, and John. She asked him how she could be sure to choose the right prince. The king sat quietly thinking. What did the princess think about now? Andrew?
If she would marry a prince that only thought of being famous and rich.
Yes. She was wondering, maybe if I marry someone all he cares about being wealthy and famous instead of someone who really loves me, because she's famous. Anyone she marries automatically becomes a prince. And she's concerned. And now she makes a wise decision. I'm going to go to my father. Oh, if I only could put that into your minds. And everyone who's listening here, learn to seek advice. I can't stress that important. I've written now 42 children's books. And my children's books and DVDs and read-alongs have won now 60 awards. And I want to, not because I'm so smart, because I'm constantly seeking for advice. The sharper the criticism, the more I like it. I want advice. And if you want to be successful in life, learn to have open ears and listen for advice, especially from your parents. You're young now. This is for later on. This is a love story here. But one day, you're going to get old, and those little butterflies are going to flutter. I remember when I was a young boy, girls, we wouldn't care about girls. I couldn't care, but all of a sudden something changed. When you become a teenager, they become looking beautiful. And you girls, as you start getting old, these boys, they look a lot different. And that's life. That's what happens to us, you know. And then I finally did get married. I'm happily married. I want you, too, to be happily married. So let's see what the king tells her. I have an idea, the king finally said. He shared with her what he thought she should do. Excellent, said Elizabeth. That will show who really loves me. Elizabeth thanked her father and left the palace excited about what was going to happen. After the father gave her advice, what did Elizabeth do? Levi?
She thanked her father.
She thanked her father. Learn to do that. I remember one of my grandkids, their parents were planning a big trip for them and doing all kinds of things for his birthday. And he sat there, just a blank face. I was grieved. The parents are dreaming and thinking and planning this big trip, and it was just like a blank, no thank you, no excitement. Learn to say thank you when people do things. Go home and thank your parents when they do something nice for you. Be grateful. It's a sign of greatness when you can say thank you when somebody does something nice to you. Elizabeth called her 3 suitors to the courtyard and told them about the test. His Majesty, the King, has planned a race. It is a test of true love. The winner of the great royal race shall be my prince. When Elizabeth left, the 3 men talked about the race. "If I win," exclaimed Simon, raising his hands, "I'll become a wealthy prince." "If I win," boasted Thomas, "I'll be famous." He stuck out his chest and bellowed, "For I will be the next king." John simply whispered, "If I win, I'll marry the most lovely and kind person in the world." What did Simon say? Jocelyn?
He wanted to be rich.
Yes, I want to be rich. I want to make lots of money. What did Thomas say? Isaiah?
I want to be famous.
I want to be famous. That's all he cares about. Notice, they're not thinking about Elizabeth. It's only me, 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 me. Boy, you don't want to marry someone like that. They're the worst people to marry. A selfish person. That's all they think about. Me, 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 me. But what does John say? All right, Mercy?
That if he won the race, he would marry the most kind and lovely person in the world.
Yeah, he's focused on Elizabeth. He sees her as a kind woman, and that's his aim in life. And you put that in the back of your mind, okay? You want someone who's kind and is interested in you. Let me share something out of my own life. I'm happily married for 60 years. And one of the things I can truly say, my aim in life is to make my wife happy. And you who are listening to this, you parents, you wives, make your husband happy. And make that your aim. You husband, make your wife happy. And that's what I want to do. And that's a utopian marriage, you know. And also made a promise, till death do us part. So whatever happens to my wife, I will be there. And so just like John, he wants to marry this kind princess. He's a kind man. That's the kind of person you ought to marry. Back at the palace, the princess chatted with her ladies-in-waiting. The race would be such an exciting time for all. Elizabeth's heart was already pounding, for soon she would discover her one true love. Day after day, Simon, Thomas, and John trained hard for the race. Whether pouring rain or searing heat, the suitors ran and ran and ran. They knew the chance to marry the princess was worth every sacrifice. What did these 3 men do? Hi, Claire?
They practiced
How much did they practice?
a lot.
A lot, yes. They practiced. They kept running. If it rained, oh, I'm going to stay in, I might get wet. No, they ran in the rain, sunshine. They wanted to win that race. And there's a big word called perseverance. It's a very important lesson in life. If you can get that into your spirit, you're going to keep trying even when it's tough. You're going to keep going, and that's what these men are doing here. They want to win, so they're racing. There's this big race, it's raining, we're going to run out. If it's sunny, we're going to run. If it's hot, they're going to run. They want to win the race. And that's one of the big secrets of being successful. The great royal race was the talk of the kingdom. No one had ever heard of such an event. Some even complained, the princess is very foolish for having a race to decide on a prince. Meanwhile, the king called 3 of his most trusted servants. He told them, this race is very, very important. After explaining the plan, the king gave each of his servants a brown leather bag and one final warning. Don't let anyone see you. Yes, your majesty, came the answer. Be assured no one will find out. Finally it arrived, the day of the great royal race. People from all the towns and villages of the kingdom lined the streets. Everyone, both young and old, had come to see the race. The king, queen, and princess took their places in the royal grandstand. With great joy, the runners approached the starting line. Their hearts beat with excitement. Each one had trained long and hard for this moment. Finally, they would discover who would have the honor of marrying the beautiful princess. Who do you think will win? Whispered a woman. It will definitely be either Thomas or Simon, a man quickly answered. Both are much faster than John. This was true, and John knew it. Still, he purposed in his heart, I may not be the fastest, but I'm going to try as hard as I can. What did the people say who's going to win the race? Olivia?
They said it would either be Simon or Thomas.
Yeah, it's going to be either Simon or Thomas. Not John. He's way too pokey. He's too slow. He has no chance of winning. But what did John say? Mercy?
I may not be the fastest runner, but I will try as hard as I can.
Yes, I'm going to try as hard as I can, even though I'm not the fastest. Oh, if you only can get that into your little heads, so you can apply it when you're older in life. Because that's one of the keys to success. No, you might not be the best, but you're going to try the hardest. You're going to make something out of yourself. You're going to be in school. You're going to learn. You're going to study. All right? Not everybody could be the top student, but you can do your best. And if you read the studies, I never forget, I taught a junior achievement course in Czechoslovakia. That's when the country was called Czechoslovakia, in Prague. It was in a college there to students. It was a junior achievement course. And there was this one girl who, like a straight A, she knew all the answers, had got excellent mark. And then there was this other fella who was just a happy type of guy. Just that guy would be success. Just because you're book smart doesn't mean you're going to be a success. It's your attitude, it's your personality, and all these things are very important. And one of the things I've also learned, I constantly seek advice. I hire people better than me. Yeah, and I'm not the smartest man in the world. I know that. I don't know everything. So we hire other people to do the kind of work. And that's why we are so successful as a publishing company. As I told you before, my books have won so many awards. And some of the other things that I have done. And so learn to do your best. And learn to seek for advice. You'll never go wrong following that kind of advice. The crowds cheered as the suitors walked to the starting line. The king read the rules. Then with a loud voice he announced, when the town bell rings, the race begins. A hush fell over the crowd. Clang, clang went the town bell, and like a flash of lightning, Simon, Thomas, and John dashed from the starting line. The crowds cheered. The great royal race was underway. Further up the path, the king's servants heard the bells and all the cheering. They knew the race had begun, and they also had prepared for this day. Hiding along the way, They were ready to obey the king's command. Around the first bend came Simon and Thomas, with John slightly behind. When the servant spotted the runners, he tossed 3 gold coins onto the path. "Wow!" cried Simon and Thomas, spotting the valuable coins. Their hearts beat with excitement as they quickly picked up the gold. But not John. He did not miss a step. His heart was fixed on the kind-hearted princess. Of course, Simon and Thomas also wanted to marry the princess, but how could they possibly pass up this great treasure? Besides, they knew they could easily outrun John. Simon and Thomas quickly made up for lost time, but as they rounded the second corner, they could hardly believe their eyes. "More gold!" yelled Thomas. He and Simon dashed for the riches, but John kept running. How does Simon and Thomas feel, Miguel?
Very happy because they heard the gold jingling in their pockets.
Thomas and Simon were happy over the sound of that gold. Oh, how happy they are. But not John. John didn't even look at the gold because he wanted to marry the princess. He had a high aim in life, and you do the same. It was not long until Simon and Thomas passed John again. As they came to the final turn, the runners caught a glimpse of 3 more pieces of gold, and these were much larger than the others. "I'm rich! I'm rich!" cried Simon. The greedy pair dove for the gold, but John never even looked at it. He just kept running. Simon grabbed 1 coin, Thomas snatched another. For the last piece of gold, the 2 men wrestled. "Give it to me," Thomas shouted. "I saw it first." "No," yelled Simon, "it's mine." They fought over the coin until Thomas finally said, "I'll let you carry it, but I warn you, we're going to settle this later." "You bet we will," snapped Simon. Quickly the pair dusted themselves. They did not want anyone to know they had stopped for the gold, especially the princess. Then off they went, running as fast as they could, all the while grinning at the sound of gold jingling in their pockets. As the runners came into view, the beautiful princess stood up, cheering them on to the finish. Although Simon and Thomas were gaining ground, they began wondering if perhaps they were foolish for having stopped for the gold. "I must try harder," Simon huffed, "if I am to be a wealthy prince." He picked up speed. Thomas ran faster than ever. I must win," he cried, "or I'll never become a famous king." Only his love for Elizabeth pushed John along. "I'll do whatever it takes to win the princess." He strained every muscle in his body to run faster. But would it be enough? At the very last second, all 3 runners gave a final burst of speed. The crowd cheered as the runners crossed the finish line. The race was over. The commoner had won. Simon and Thomas were very angry. They had come so close, yet they had lost the race. Elizabeth was delighted. Now she knew who really loved her, and not just her wealth and fame. With tears in her eyes, she went to John and said, "You are my prince." John gave a big smile and said, "And you are my princess." The princess then went to her father and kissed him. She thanked him for helping her find her one and only true love. Now all the people in the kingdom praised the king for his great wisdom in testing the suitors with gold. However, throughout the towns and villages, Simon and Thomas became known as the foolish ones. What were the parents now telling their children? Mercy?
That if you wanted to have a happy marriage, you should seek for someone that has good character.
Listen, this is not for you now, but you're going to get older, you know. And one day, you're going to see somebody. Listen to that. Choose someone who has good character. And I'll tell you a little secret, okay? Listen, one of the good tests is, you girls now, I'm going to talk to all you girls. You girls listening? Okay? Watch the way the boy treats his parents. If he's not nice to his parents, that's the way he's going to treat you. And you boys here, you watch the way the girl treats her parents. If she's not nice to her parents, she's not going to be nice to you. That's a very good test. So you put that in the back of your mind, okay, when that day comes. Because I want you to have a happy marriage. There's too many unhappy ones. Very sad marriages. But I want you to have a happy marriage. Pick someone who is kind and has good character. Not just for looks. Some of those beautiful women and handsome men, they make a disastrous marriage. So pick one who has character and who's kind and loving. That's the secret of having a happy marriage.
Soon afterward, the kingdom rejoiced as the wedding bells chimed, announcing the marriage of John and Elizabeth. The king and queen provided a grand marriage feast. Everyone was invited to join in the celebration. Elizabeth was forever grateful for her father's wise advice. Not only did John prove that he truly loved her, but in time he also proved that he was born to rule. John became a very wise and great king, and he and Elizabeth lived happily ever after.
And now, an award-winning song from Character Kids.
It's time to find your treasure in life, leaving behind the worthless. No standing still, don't stop until your hope, your destiny